Hi there, I'm Richard and welcome to Burning Spears. Today I'm going to do a whole picanha on the braai, and it's a very simple cook. There's a lot of heat control that you need to think about when doing picanha. But firstly, what is picanha? So it's a Brazilian national cut. It's the rump cap. And whereas South Africa, their national steak is a rump steak, the Brazilians focus on this particular muscle group off of the rump. And for me, it's the best steak because you get the fat from that's on the rump, and then the rump flavor, and it's one of the most tender parts of rump. So it's an all-round winner for me. It's probably my favorite piece of beef to eat. I prefer it to ribeye. But let me show you a little bit more about it. Okay, so when you see your typical rump steak like this is a little nice 2-inch beauty that I'm going to save at some other stage. But when you see your typical rump steak, there's always an oval bit, sort of, I like to say top right, but that's always if you're looking at it like that. There's generally a large piece of fat on there, and essentially that is like looking at that's the rump cap. And that's the piece on the rump that you would see with the rest of the rump around you. So this is the whole muscle that's taken off. Some butchers don't like taking it off because then the rump doesn't look complete. But it's gaining popularity in South Africa, and let's get it on the braai now. Whenever you're buying it, you're always going to look for the most fat possible. Now in the UK, we often can't get a lot of fat on, whereas something like that is perfect. But this picanha doesn't have that much fat, but we'll survive. Now I'm going to be doing another video on this. The picanha has unfortunately has almost like a diagonal grain structure, so you can't really cut it across the grain. Brazilians like cutting it with the grain, but more on that later in another video. So basically we're going to cook this, going to season it very, very simply, just with salt and pepper. I want to hero this piece of meat, and you might think I'm putting too much salt on, but this is a thick piece of meat and you need to put enough seasoning on, because essentially you are just doing the outside of the sort of rind almost of the piece of beef. So you need a lot of seasoning on there, because when you cut, it's not like a steak with a lot of surface area that has the seasoning. So just salt, freshly ground black pepper, again a lot because that's the way I roll. Now, I'm not going to do too much to this. I could be pedantic and take off that little bit of silver skin that's left, but I'm not going to bother. Now you want to get the seasoning everywhere, right? It's your first and best chance of imparting flavor. Probably actually a little bit light on salt, to be honest with you, but I'm not going to go inside and get some more. So c'est la vie. That will do. I'll season it before eating. So let's talk fire and heat. Now, I like eating my rump rare, borderline blue. But because we're cooking the whole picanha, we're going to want to go on a sort of like a medium heat initially. If you rush it too much, it contracts, and that's where you lose a lot of your moisture and you'll have a drier outcome. So, like I say, I'm going to aim for a medium heat on the side here, and then I'm going to make sure that I've got more than enough coals for the next session. course, good fire management is always important. So I'm making sure that I'm making coals for as and when I need them. So that's high heat at the moment. I'll give it 5 or 10 minutes to calm down. I'm going to be wanting a sort of like a 6-second or so heat, and then it'll go down a bit as we go. So this goes fat side down, thickest part towards the hottest part of the fire. Fat side down because the fat does a lot of protecting as it cooks and warms through. I'm not going to cook this slow. This is going to be a relatively fast cook. So there will be a lot of flipping involved and maneuvering and cold changing and stuff like that. What I'm after is the thickest part to get to 50 degrees, which is a rare, and then of course you'll have some mid-rare on the thinner bit. Great piece of meat for everyone like that is because of the thinness. You get different stages of doneness. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. Okay, so we're about 10 minutes in. I have been looking at it. It should be good. Spot on. Just beautiful. Great color. Ooh, that's hot. Right, while I'm waiting for the doneness to come up, I'm going to start getting all the edges nicely seared. Let's have a look at the bottom. Bottom's looking good. And I have some garlic butter left over from the mealies I cooked earlier. Wasn't going to do this, but I thought, what the hell, you could eat it perfectly fine au naturel as it was. Put a bit of garlic butter on beef. Man, they love each other. Things are going to get smoky. Okay, now I'm going to knock all the coals back because I want this to be a cool zone to keep resting it so it doesn't bunch up. Now I did run this a little hot from the outset, unfortunately, so you can see it has bunched up a little bit, but it would go a lot smaller. It's still pretty relaxed, but now I'm just going to let it slow down a lot and let that internal temperature come up slowly. I'm hopefully going to have some nice rare bit right in the center, and then, like I say, the plebs can eat the medium rare bits. Right, daylight's fading. I'm going to want to get this off pretty quickly. So I'm just going to speed things up a little. So this is a great idea for Sunday roast, a whole picanha. Okay, so sunlight is fading, and I don't want to be carving this under lights. That'll be really disappointing. So I'm going to pull it off, rest it for a little bit. Ideally, you should rest this for 20 minutes, maybe even half hour, depending on the external temperature. But I'm going to rest it for about 5 minutes. Get it on the board. It'll bleed everywhere, but let's hope the result's good. Okay, I don't really want to wait any longer. I've got minutes of sunlight left. As you can see, not too much juice. That means it's all in the meat, and you'll see it on the board. So another potluck with picanha is you always get some sinew, some silver skin under there. On this one it looks quite thin. It does feel a little bit tough. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it can be a little bit chewy, but sliced like this is not really a problem. So for me that's great. Now for other people, that's a more sort of medium. Cheers. Right, so not my best cook, but I was a little bit rushed, but the results are good and the meat is beautiful. That rump flavor, I love it, can't beat it. It definitely wasn't as fatty as I would have liked it to have been. That is magnificent. I'm going to have that with some, I think, some Yorkshire pudding, horseradish sauce, I think. I hope some of you found that a little bit insightful, interesting, and given you some ideas on how to try this if you don't do this. Generally it's cut into steaks, which is great. I mean, steak. So yeah, I'm going to plate that up and get on with my Sunday. Thanks for watching, and that's it.